We may not be there yet, but summer anime is coming soon. The question is, how good will it be? Well, unlike this past season and many others honestly, the divide between mainstream, super popular shows, and the rest aren't nearly as clear. What I mean is, spring had Demon Slayer, Konosuba, Jobless Reincarnation, My Hero, the real big ones. But the only big one this season is realistically Oshi No Ko. Maybe you want to say My Hero has a movie, and that's fine, but as for TV shows, there's really only one, at least on the surface. To start, I think Oshi no Ko is gonna do fine, but here's why I don't think it'll run away with the top spot. A big part of what made the show so good and possibly iconic was episode 1, which by all metrics overperformed. Hype as well as ratings only went down from there, and while I think it will be good, the odds I see them capture the same energy is pretty darn low. It also airs July 3rd, the same day as another possibly good series, Alya Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian. A show with the main girl having very similar eyes to Horikita from Classroom of the Elite. Aside from that, the art's not terribly impressive, but it doesn't need to be. Shows like Tomo-chan is a Girl prove you can have a decent series without incredible art. But just look at the guy, it's almost like we've seen him in every standard romance anime. Maybe you know him as the unmotivated underachiever, and it's not even my words saying that. Now, I'm not here to throw this show under the bus, I just said I freaking liked it after all, so there's gotta be a good reason. The answer to that and why I think it'll do so well is 1, the premise, and 2, the execution. The premise is the main girl speaks Russian, likes the boy she's talking to but only says it in Russian, and the twist is the boy also knows Russian. Pretty unique, not much more you can ask for. Now the execution, which actually leads me to the manga, but not this one. The Angel Next Door spoils me rotten. It's an anime, it's a manga, and both got good ratings. What's interesting is people found it to be the most similar series to one another. Now, if it's anything like this, it's probably going to be well received? To be fully transparent, I didn't think The Angel Next Door was all that special, but it's pretty obvious I know others did. And if it has even somewhat similar intentions of keeping the romance high and the backstory low, paired with a good premise, I think it'll do pretty well for itself. The Tower of God Season 2. I'm not here to pretend I've seen the show when I really haven't. From what I do know, it's at least a serviceable series. Whether you find it to be much more than that or not, all depends on how much you agree with the show's execution. Now, I don't need to be in Mensa to know people like the manga. I mean manhwa, it is South Korean. In my honest opinion, I can't see Season 2 being much worse than Season 1. After all, they've had 4 years to work on it. Next we have, Suicide Squad Isekai. Just seeing DC characters in anime, what do I even say? I guess the animation looks fine. In my own personal bubble, no relation to the movie, I've never seen a mainly Western IP do well in anime. The best example of that is probably Adult Swim. Think about what they're known for. I'm sure a lot of you would say Rick and Morty, but of course there are others. Maybe some of you are pumping your fists remembering Toonami, and yes, sadly that does tell your age. But what you may or may not know is the push for Rick and Morty to live as an anime too. If nothing else, just the name alone, Suicide Squad Isekai, you can't tell me they're not trying too hard to lean into it. I don't think my perspective does or should reflect my thoughts on it outside of anime. I'm not here to set a bar based on preconceived notions. Oh wait, that's exactly what this is. I'm probably gonna give this one an F. Next, we got Fairy Tail, which I have no clue why it's still around. I know it was really big back in the mid-2010s, but it's been a while now. The final season ended in 2019 after all. I'm not just going crazy, plus the manga ended, and not recently either. Honestly, I see it way more as a cash grab than almost anything else. I know many other recent shows try to go for that readaptation, nostalgic effect, but I don't even think it can manage that. From me to you. This one I got a lot to talk about. This may be one of the oldest, if not the oldest series to get another season after so long. No, I don't count Urusei Yatsura, or this one that for the life of me I can't pronounce. They're both readaptations and don't necessarily add to prior content, which seems like it's the case here. To say I have skepticism is a big understatement, and to everyone else who loves the show, you have good taste. Season 1 and Season 2 were great, but they came out a long long time ago. After seeing what The Devil is a Part-Timer did with the art style as well as the characters for season 2, shows starting up again after such a long time it's scary. The last thing I want is to feel like the new content brought down the old content or make me like the series less. From what I've seen, it looks like the art style's pretty close to the old one, which I do like, given it was very stylistic to the show as well as the era. I know it's not technically a TV show, it'll be an OVA, regardless I do have high hopes. I'm happy that they kept the same studio after so long, and it's only a matter of time to see how good it'll be. The next 3 I'm just gonna combine a bit. 3 shows getting a second season that probably aren't on many people's radars. Our Last Crusade or The Rise of a New World Season 2, The Cafe Terrace and Its Goddesses Season 2, and Nair Aromata Season 2. Now, Our Last Crusade, for anyone who doesn't know, was actually planned to release last year, but clearly that never happened. For the 95% of you who don't know the series, it's basically like the Asterisk War or a diet version of the Misfit of Demon King Academy. Basically, it wasn't that good, yet somehow got another season in the midst of 2020's chaos. As for the Cafe Terrace, it's just not that good. Ratings only picked up late into the season. Given it's just a worse version of the quintessential quintuplets, it was almost guaranteed another season. Finally, Nier, a show that I feel some people like for certain reasons, but it did honestly get decent ratings. It's by all accounts not a bad show, but from what I've seen, it has a fan base to back it up, so maybe it won't be that bad. Of course, there are other shows this season, mostly romance because that's a booming genre, but I don't want to go over everything. There is another romance psychological, which is always super hit or miss, a series with a small blue-haired boy in another world, so basically nothing new. As much as I'm not a movie buff, it's not something I can just gloss over. The summer season's notorious for good movies, and this year is no exception. As I said earlier, you've got My Hero, which I feel like comes out with a new movie each year, Bocchi the Rock, Mononoke, but what might be the biggest one isn't any of those. It's actually called Look Back. Now, I have hope and worry for the movie. I'm worried in the sense that there's almost no source material. It wasn't a manga, it wasn't a light novel, it was a one-shot, which means it's only a few chapters long. Only one book, but nonetheless, it did get good ratings. On a more positive note, it gives the company more freedom to possibly interpret content for the better. Surprisingly enough, this is generally speaking the studio's first attempt at anything, whether movie or show. But what gives me more confidence is actually the creator, Tatsuki Fujimoto. You might also know him as the creator of Chainsaw Man, so if you're looking for a new movie this summer, Look Back might be the one you're looking for. Given there's now 40 or 50 new shows each season, it's always a lot to go over, but it doesn't mean I don't enjoy talking about it. If you did enjoy the video, maybe you want to subscribe. And for anyone curious, these are my predictions.